Alright, so welcome back to another Xvault gaming video. Xvault here, and today, you guessed it, we're back on the salt train. We got plenty more going on, and we of course had the Xbox podcast to kind of go over, and just a lot of salt that's coming from this, and just a little bit more from the Helldivers camp, as far as more salt from the Xbox camp in regards to that. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump to it. Alright, so like I was saying, what we're going to go over is a bunch of salt that's derivative from the Xbox podcast itself, from Phil Spencer, Matt Booty, Sarah Bond, all sorts of stuff going on there, which really wasn't a lot going on there, it's more jargon. And then of course just a little bit of that sprinkle from Helldivers 2, of course, like I was mentioning. Now, straight off the gate here, we do have Colt Eastwood tweeting out, "We were so wrong. Exclusives are back on the menu, and so is new hardware." Well, Colt Eastwood, we all know how that went last time, right?
This generation is going to be a bigger leap than any generation we've done before.
So I wonder how many monsters this new one's going to eat for breakfast, because rumor has it, it's going to be the most powerful thing ever, according to this podcast and other things as well, of course. But, you know, I'm glad you were so wrong. Exclusives are still on the table. Everything's okay, right, Colt? Everything's okay. False alarm. Not a problem. 4 games for now is fine. If more happen to follow, that's okay. Nothing to worry about, I'm sure. Glad you cleared that up, buddy. We can always remember to count on you to say the right thing, do the right thing, and never lie to your fan base or pull the wool over anybody's eye, right?
Thank you so much for checking out this preview. This was my first time being sent out to an event, and I'm so glad I got to meet the people from Arcane and play Redfall. It was so fun to sit there and play the game for an hour and a half and get immersed into what we have coming for the campaign. There's so much to look forward to, and like I said, I spent that whole time playing as Layla, and I didn't get to choose the other characters because I played the whole way, and talking to the other content creators, they loved the other characters they played at, so I don't think anybody made the wrong decision, and I can't wait for you to get hands-on with the game. If you end up enjoying this preview, let me know by liking.
Oh, wow. Wow. That's too bad everybody has evidence of the whole Redfall debacle and everything you touted behind that game and gave your praise and everything else we just saw. But you know what? We're just going to go ahead and blindly follow you here as well. Ain't that right, Colts? Oh, wow. All right. Let's keep going here, of course. Ryan McCaffrey, the good old IGN journalist like we talk about often anymore, and on the Xbox camp, and holds no qualms about showing his biasness, of course, as far as being a journalist, but it makes sense for Microsoft to start with smaller, older titles and games in order to try and ease people into the idea of making some exclusives multi-platform. Some, I'm sure, right? I'm really curious what they're going to say on Thursday and how they're going to say it. Well, this was tweeted out before that happened, wasn't it? Interesting. Interesting how that turned out. Nothing's off the table. Ain't that right, McCaffrey? You seem to be batting 0 for 10 or 0 out of 100 or whatever you want to call it. Not looking so good once again. How are you going to continue to shill for the Xbox platform on IGN if everything you state is not coming true? Oh no. Oh no. Let's go back to Colt Eastwood here and his response, of course, which is great. But he goes on to state, it makes sense for Xbox and PlayStation to start with small, older games. Going more multi-platform is good for consumers and gaming. So we got to keep switching that narrative, right, Colt? I mean, again, we can completely trust everything you and even Ryan McCaffrey states. I'm sure, as you've both been so right about so much. It's the exclusives are no longer a good thing. Is that what I'm hearing now? It's all about multi-platform, and that's okay. But then just recently you said that exclusives are still a thing, and all right. Sound the victory horn. All right. What are we doing here? Who follows these morons? Who's following these clowns? They can't even from moment to moment remember their own lies. It's insanity to me. My goodness. All right. Let's go over to Tom Warren here. 2 hours before Microsoft's Xbox announcement yesterday, Xbox chief Phil Spencer sent an internal memo to employees. In it, he details a vision of Xbox everywhere. A quote future where every screen is an Xbox. Read the full memo below. So of course he has a link to that. And yes, he's not the only one been stating that. Sarah Bond herself. Xbox is everywhere. And it is on a future where Xbox is on every screen in one capacity or another, whether that's Game Pass, whether that's downloadable content, whether that's streaming it from whatever. They want to be on everything, everywhere. Now, this podcast, again, like I mentioned, it was pretty much, when they say nothing burger, the only nothing burger about it was how corporate jargon it was, how everything was vague, like I mentioned. That's why I didn't make a video sooner, because it was such a letdown, and it was such a typical Phil Spencer and Xbox podcast where they just wanted to kind of calm the Xbox community down enough to be like, hey, 4 games, we're not even going to officially mention what those games are. And don't worry, you're still going to have exclusives. You're still going to have day one Game Pass games. It's going to be okay. Nothing's off the table. It was so vague. It's ridiculous. The car salesman status still applies wholeheartedly. That's just how it is. Pathetic, if you ask me. So, with everything going on, expect to see more games to follow. Expect to see more, period. So let's keep going here. Astal needs to have that 2 S's in there, in my opinion, as usual, but he's the one who recently said that Sea of Thieves and Hi-Fi Rush would come to PlayStation. Laughing emoji face. Okay. Okay. That was back from September here, I can see. And then, of course, he has to tweet out as well, as we see, it ain't happening. Just buy an Xbox. They were so sure. Just buy an Xbox for Hi-Fi Rush. That's a system seller right there. Let me tell you. Can't count on how many fingers and toes I've talked to so many folks about how great Hi-Fi Rush and how that was a system seller. How we were trading in whatever other platform we're on if we didn't have a PC or Xbox because we had to play Hi-Fi Rush. Now, again, I'm sure it's a great game. I've heard great things about it, but it is not a system seller. No one's just going to buy an Xbox for that. Number 2, you got some egg on your face once again. Look how wrong all of you continue to be. You don't care. You still have sheep followers. Fantastic for you. Astal, let's keep going with the Astal train here. Tom Warren, arrogance has no limits. He's literally saying that Xbox P3, Phil Spencer, is lying. Because he is. He's a car salesman. That's what he continues to do. Tags at Xbox should stop giving him attention. Tom Warren is a hardcore Xbox fanboy. So if he's stating something, he is at least telling you the truth on that side of things. Now, is he as soft as tissue paper? Absolutely. He blocked me on social media, countless others, without any interactions whatsoever, without anything. This is before I even kind of dove into the console war type of thing to poke fun, have fun, look at it, see the crazies, and him, Cold Eastwood, all this stuff would do this, preemptively block individuals, and they are just to the core Xbox hardcore fanboys. But because of all this Civil War issue nonsense going on, they are turning on each other. It is glorious to see. It is salty. It is a sea of it. It is quite entertaining for those of us that like to follow that stuff. And then Bilius98, he also says, don't take this as a signal as more games coming because they're not. Quoting Phil Spencer to a point. That's not an actual quote. That's not true. Phil Spencer said nothing about more games not coming, you moron. Tom Warren then, okay, bookmark this tweet for when more games come, because they will. Again, they're coming. He knows it. Many of the other Xbox journalists and fanboys know it. The insiders over there know it and have heard it. They're usually going to be right. I mean, it's not going to stop with 4. Even the most hardcore folks are saying it's not going to stop with 4. As much as I dislike Tom Warren for being as soft as tissue paper, you know, at least he's holding the accountability aspect for the line. If he knows something's there, he's not going to kind of super sweep it under the rug. He's done that before with other items and topics, but with this, I mean, when you are a journalist and the information is there, you can't deny it. I mean, I don't care who you are, you can't deny it unless you're Colt Eastwood, but he's not a true journalist. I don't know what he is. He's a lucky SOB for being able to do what he does and have the clown and sheep followers he does that follows the nonsense like we've seen previously here. Astall clearly has been on one, so a lot of noise for a nothing burger. People forgot that even Sega in the 80s ported some of their exclusives to the rival consoles like Nintendo. It was solely to make their franchises known to lure new customers for the sequels on Genesis, Mega Drive, which were exclusives. Oh yes. Let's take a look at this list real quick. Afterburner doesn't ring a bell. Alien Syndrome, kind of. That was never a system seller in my opinion, growing up in that era. Altered Beast, I'd have to look up and see where else this landed because I don't remember playing a version on the Super Nintendo, the direct rival of Sega. Quote me down below if I'm incorrect on that. I've never seen a copy or heard of one. Fantasy Zone, no thank you. Fantasy Zone 2, again, no thank you. Shinobi, Samari, Space Harrier, yes. Those are Sonic the Hedgehog. That was, let's even say Road Rash. Let's say Streets of Rage. Let's say, and again, Altered Beast. I don't know where else that landed. I don't remember that being on Nintendo. We all know the Sega exclusives they've had and continue to have. Phantasy Star. All that stuff did not hit other platforms until they were done in the Dreamcast and they had to call it quits. So this is pure damage control. The salt is absolutely real with Astall, trying to downplay everything. It's going to be glorious to see as more and more games keep coming out. It's going to be great. Xbox Series XS. Make sure you buy those games at full price ASAP when they arrive on your favorite platform. Why? So that I can continue to get them day one on Game Pass and for free. Win, win, win. Again, that's not going to continue to happen. Keep spinning that narrative. It's now okay that everybody else or other platforms get those games that you held so dearly. Now it's okay because they admit they only subscribe and don't buy and support their favorite hobby in gaming, which is not something to brag about. If you enjoy your hobby, like we said from the beginning, stuff like this is happening not just because Microsoft wants to make more money and they'd be okay not doing it. They're doing this because they're testing the waters. You guys are not buying your games. More bad things are going to happen to your favorite ecosystem as far as exclusivity and so on and so forth if you don't pull your heads out of your asses and actually support your industry like you should. Going back to Tom Warren here, Xbox chief Phil Spencer doesn't rule out Starfield and Indiana Jones coming to PS5, quoted, "I don't think we should, as an industry insider or industry, ever rule out a game going to any other platform." Full interview here. I'll leave this up for a moment so you can see that. But like we were mentioning before, they were so sure that nothing else is coming. So he says, yes, they're going to be exclusive to Xbox, more than likely going to be timed games on the platform. Doesn't mean they're not coming elsewhere. At this point, it's almost an inevitability. Once you have those other games that were exclusive coming out, and first-party exclusive, mind you, not timed third-party nonsense, first-party games coming out, timed. Let's pull something up here. You can hit pause on this real quick if you need to finish reading that, but let's pull up a couple things real quick here. about what Phil Spencer stated about PC. About just dabbling in there, one or twosies. It's all playing out the exact same. The same song, different dance. Or in this matter, same dance, different song. So, as you can see, the writing's on the wall. More than likely this stuff's gonna happen. The salt, the downplaying, the spinning is absolutely insane. Let's go over, we can farm some more Helldiver salt, right? It continues to peak, it continues to get better and better traction, and this doesn't sit well with the Xbox community and fans, so we happen to find a great tweet from the great Kid Smooth once again. Helldivers 2 must be game of the generation if people can ignore and forgive its problems, and reviewers are holding off their reviews until their servers straighten out. I've never seen such leniency and patience before. Alright, so for context, Smooth, the salt is real here. For context, Helldivers 1 did not see this type of success. It did not catch on. It was a top-down game, so on and so forth. It hit a concurrent, I believe, around 10,000 players. Helldivers 2 devs expected and forecasted only 30,000 players max, perhaps. This was not a free game, free-to-play game. This wasn't added on PS Plus Extra, or Premium. Nothing like that. This is a full pay-to-own game. Yes, it was only $40. However, the forecast being 30,000. Last I checked, they're hitting around 350,000 concurrent players. That is insane. That's so many more. So that's why you're having issues. It's not because the system itself was faulty or the game itself was faulty. Yes, it's going to have a few bugs, but the server crashes and errors and all that is due to way overproductive servers being at full capacity. So walk that back a little bit. Think before you post stuff. Stop taking L's on a daily. That would be great. You make yourself seem so uninformed all the time. It just is insane to me. But do what you gotta do. You provide the content, so keep being you, Kid Smooth. And we'll see you next time, I'm sure. And then just another thing to top this off, by the way, is a petition to bring Helldivers 2 to Xbox from mostly the community of Xbox themselves, for the fans. Now, what's interesting here, why I wanted to share this, is because they keep touting that it's okay. They have Call of Duty now. They've had Redfall. They've had the great Halo Infinite. That's all they needed. They kept touting that Sony could not find a successful games as a service game that was addictive, that was fun, that was this anomaly that would be the next viral or big thing. And now some of them are also trying to downplay, saying this ain't going to last 2 to 3 months later. Oh, we're getting close to a month already and it keeps growing. How's Halo Infinite doing right now? How's Redfall doing right now? You want to take credit for COD because you purchased ABK? Go ahead. Personally, never cared for COD. Played many iterations, tried to get into it multiple times. For some, that is their bread and butter. That's okay. But to say that Xbox had anything to do with Call of Duty upon just buying success is not the case. They failed. They failed Halo. Phil Spencer was on record stating, if they ever lose their way with Halo, they lost their way with Xbox. In my opinion, they lost their way with Halo. And in my opinion, backed up with some facts, they lost their way with Xbox. Pretty sad to see, in my opinion. As a gamer, I don't like to see that stuff happen. It's been one fumble after another with these guys. It's really shocking to see how somebody can be so deluded. To see a corporation be so misguided. Even as a business, you should be able to correct things after a while. You're going to have your fumbles, you're going to have your stumbles, you're going to have your missteps, and you should be able to bounce back. Nobody's perfect. No business is perfect. No company's perfect. You should be able to figure it out. They haven't. They continue to not do so. Now they're looking at multi-platform games, and possibly worse as time goes on. Yes, they are going to probably come out, from what we see here, with a new console, which I think is insane because the current ones are not selling the greatest. They're doing fine. I think it's to appease the crowd and keep them going for a little while longer. We'll see what happens with that. But anyways, ending on that, we'll wrap up the video here. I appreciate everybody. I know it's a little bit longer because we got some videos in there and everything, but I had to share all this with y'all. I think it was great. Tons of salt. Hopefully you enjoyed. Appreciate you sticking around to the end of the video. All that good stuff. Again, thank you so much for the support as always. We are at 1,231 subscribers out of that 1,500 goal. We are so close to that next goal. Thank you all so much. Continue to grow and climb. Your support's amazing. Every like and comment helps me out so much and helps the algorithm out for these videos. If you haven't already, definitely consider subscribing and helping out a small content creator like myself. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day, everybody. And remember, don't be a salty batch. Take care.